Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the MI podcast. In this live podcast, we'll talk about media buying and how it has evolved in the AI age. How the media buying is becoming more psychological than technical. What I mean by this is when you look at media buying in the digital scenario, you look at Google ads, you look at Meta ads, and you have these, you know, you used to have, let's say, the very complex dashboards with the CPM, CTRs. We are seeing how the algorithm goes, how you bid. But today, now, if these platforms, with the help of AI, if you type in any query, of they kind of give you a reply. So you can ask a particular analytical tool that can you summarize the last 3 months performance, like give me the figures in certain key metrics. So it'll just then you type that and it'll get you a particular screen showing those particular numbers. So you get to do that very quickly. Earlier you had to have the knowledge about that platform, how to filter it, and you used to kind of spend quite some time on that platform to showcase very quickly the data. But with the AI enablement, especially like in a platform like Google Analytics, it's become quite easy. So basically, the tools are there, and I mean, people can get accustomed to it very quickly. So it wasn't become like a differentiating, just knowing how the tool works. The real edge would be understanding the human, behind the screen who is going to be making the decision in terms of your TG, who is your customer persona. So there's certain things I like to discuss on this with respect to that, how it is kind of changing and is getting more psychological. Supposedly, like I mentioned, the technical gap has shrunk. Knowing the platform deeply is good skill to have, but today it is not a differentiation. Your optimization skills that you have, that is obviously is a differentiator. How good you are with the data definitely is an advantage. But main thing is that how, in terms of insights, whatever you give on the data, if you can give an action plan. So understanding the business behind what you are doing in the whole larger scheme of things is more important, and that I think is today for all the skills. As a designer, so as an editor, you have to understand the business, then you'll understand an audience, and you do more research in that, and then you get better in that skill, which is channeled towards that audience. Like if you are a graphic designer, you're designing graphics for a particular audience for a particular business. Um, if you are like a video editor, then it will be within that. So the reality is that everyone has the access to the platforms. AI and automation are handling most of the technical decisions, and you have all kinds of tutorials, courses, and all for free today. So you can get that part of the deal very quickly, but your understanding of that audience is how you differentiate with your skill. So basically, technology is no longer the differentiator. The interpretation is. Attention is a psychological matter. It is the age of attention. You want to be seen and heard out there as people, as brands. Uh, but the reality is, the people today, they are overstimulated with the content. They're quite distracted because the patience is running out quickly. That is the way we are in the device led world. You're emotionally fatigued also to too much of scrolling and seeing all the content, and on all the platforms, and a lot of things, lots of work to do. And in fact, towards advertising, people are getting cynical. Like whenever you feel this is an advertising, you switch off. Like when you're seeing it even on your scrolls. If there is a good storytelling within main content for the brands, then it is kind of being appreciated, but you're kind of switching off. So media today, you cannot say where I want to just place the particular ad because you know the audience will just come down. You cannot assume that anymore. So we have to go much more deeper and say what mental state is the audience in when they are seeing this particular thing. So you have to study the customer persona and see how they spend their day, right? And what could be, their reaction of particular content or particular time of a day, a different stage, in their life or whatever. So, um, as great media buyers, or if you want to become great media buyers, you have to study cognitive load, um, emotional triggers for audience, um, the decision fatigue that they have, and how do we get to them not making a lot of decisions that quickly. Like for example, a form you have to fill. Like today, I mean, with the platforms out there, you have like say certain Instagram ads where it's pre-filled forms. You might have all encountered that your name is already, so it's just a click of a button. So people even don't want to do that, and that can be like a deterrent to fill that form. Understand the habit loops and also the dopamine and the reward cycling that is there. So I think all these, if you see, they're part of psychology. So you have to become more into the psychological zone as the media buyers and in turn the marketers. Buying is emotional before it is logical. So basically, neuroscience tells us people feel first, then justify with logic, right? They feel something strong towards the content, brand, influencer, and then they will justify it that okay, I took that is because if they are buying something when it or investing their time with the particular brand or influencer. So um, modern media, is should be about reducing their anxiety, creating familiarity, triggering the desire, and building the trust, quite quickly. So this complete psychology is not involved. This spreadsheet, as I said, the spreadsheet can be taken over with AI, but the AI cannot look at the human being deeply. That's where the marketer comes in. Context is the new targeting. So generally, when we look at targeting over the, I mean, around 15 years, if you look at, Google advertising and then Meta advertising also came up. So we've generally looked at just age, the gender, where is the person located, what are their interests. But today we will have to look at what mood the user is in, what problem is your product currently solving for them, or it could be like what problem they are in and what a product can solve. What is the emotion when they are scrolling at a certain time of the day, right? Because your content has to connect with them, so you have to understand the state to connect with them, right? So your ad basically not doesn't compete with other, it competes. And advertising, let's be honest, still obviously will be used in terms of say sponsored content also. Should not be salesy. People just turn off to salesy things. Um, so ad doesn't compete with other ads per se, but it'll compete with the person's inner narrative at that moment. You're not competing in the scroll the other key. What would he feeling at that moment, and then how can you take it further with them? Best media buyers think like therapists. That is why the psychology angle is there. They will ask questions like, "What fear is this product calming?" Basically for them, what identity is it strengthening? What insecurity is it easing? What aspiration is it unlocking? So you have to ask deeper questions when you are creating your content or ads and all about that. And when you get more yeses in that, or you're able to answer it clearly, that means you're going more towards the right kind of content or advertisement. When the media buying it works today, it basically should feel understood, personal, timely, and comforting. So you have to operate at scale with the help of AI. Emotional intelligence can also function at scale if you have proper, segmentations of your audience, and you keep working on that. And according to the segmentation, the right messaging is happening at the right time. Funnels are now feelings. So basic marketing funnel, if obviously all marketers be aware of the awareness, consideration, and then conversion phase. It also can go along to more, attention phase, and then brand advocacy also. But now, what kind of funnel is there? It's curiosity, safety, desire, confidence, and then action. So each stage we say earlier it could be technical, now it's more psychological. So um, content can be designed like we can design for each stage. So now these are the more complex stages that we look for in designing. So basically, in a nutshell, earlier we thought it'll be easier for marketers, but now the complex world with more competition and more, not only other brands but also the mind space of the audience, you have to put in more effort within your content. Algorithms optimize data, humans optimize meaning. So what we mean that AI basically it can place the ad as per an algorithm, adjust the bid, or even find patterns as per algorithm. But the humans, what they do and what they bring to the table, they will optimize the meaning. So they will read the culture, they will sense emotional shift in the audience, understand the intention, and then create resonance. So modern media, that's why more psychological it has become. Awesome. So these were some of my, a two cents of mine in terms of the media, by becoming more psychological. This would even also apply to non-digital channels. So when you just talk about digital, you will assume just Google, Meta, and all. But then non-digital channels also same principles would kind of apply, and you would look at how you are designing your content in those channels as well. So media buying is no longer about beating the system; it's about understanding the soul on the other side of the screen. So the media buyer is no longer a technician; they are a behavioral strategist. So that is how we kind of approach it. So awesome! Thank you so much for joining me for this live podcast. So let's see some Q&A from you all, some interesting questions, and we can kind of get more perspective on this. Is technical skill in media buying becoming irrelevant? We can't say irrelevant, but the importance is becoming less in terms of like it's not a competitive advantage. Like person can learn that quite quickly. It is an entry ticket. Okay, you can do the job if you have this, but it is easier to get. And the differentiator is the psychological understanding with someone who's putting in effort into that on a regular basis in terms of understanding the audience and the channels and customer personas, and in the long term, greater understanding and proper insights from that and a proper action plan, that is where you win as a basically media planner or a marketer in paid media. What's the biggest psychological mistake brands make in their ads today? Uh, so basically, when you generally see that over adoption in terms of leaving too many things to purely AI. Even then AI, if like this, there's a prompt engineer, you should know what to tell the AI to get a proper output of it. So that should be more detailed. Also, companies should talk more at humans. Like people, you don't connect with non-human kind of. I mean, when you look at just a brand or a company's page or profile, so people are no longer they responding to solutions of a particular problem in terms of when you look at a product or service solving a particular problem, they respond to feeling understood. So where you see content which they find very relatable, that is where they are connecting with it. So too much focus shouldn't be on just solving the particular problem by your particular product. What separates average media buyers from elite ones? Yeah, this is a interesting question. When you look at how do I get better in my particular, say, as a paid media specialist. So I think don't chase metrics that you have to just present and how many impressions and clicks, and then could be in e-commerce like conversions or just in B2B more leads. We should look at um, how you're reading the mind of the consumer in terms of then that's where the insights come in, that's where the action plan comes in based on those insights. They will optimize basically an elite media buyer will optimize for human tension, desire, and trust, not just plainly looking at these metrics and then presenting a return on ad spend, ROA. So that is where I think it is going forward. Thank you so much for joining me for this live podcast on this interesting topic of media buying becoming more psychological than technical. Um, if you want to do a podcast with me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Also, please, you can support the podcast by following it on YouTube by the name Modern Intelligence. So until the next time, I'll see you all. Take care.